Good afternoon and welcome to the Going Virtual webinar series, where we hope to declutter the stress and mess of hosting online and bring you some tips and tricks to make your next event a success. Yes, the world has changed. Yes, online is a thing like never before. And yes, events are different now and possibly will be forever. However, one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that businesses and brands still need to be connected to their clients and they still need to make money and turn a profit. We have been trained to assume much of the online content should be free or at a minimal cost. Billions of hours of YouTube content roams the online space, yours for the taking. Even 24/7 movies, TV and documentaries can be all yours for the bargain price of $9.99 a month. And previously the streaming of events had been mostly free. Our live event revenue stream has been disrupted, but our ability to deliver valuable content has not gone away. Essentially, this time has been the ultimate disruption to our industry and presents the greatest opportunity to be innovative for our clients. To do this, we need to still operate as a business, but find ways to bring ultimate value to our brands, customers, and partners. Whilst there are many innovative ways to monetize events, let's talk through our team here at AV 24/7's top solutions, and later we invite Lisa Andrews as our guest to discuss this in more detail. So let's jump into it. So the most obvious, of course, is ticket sales as the number one opportunity for monetization. But getting the costs right will be the most important thing. Understanding the value of your content to your audience and also the ability to reach the most amount of people should be a focus. Don't undervalue your event because it's no longer in person, but consider that you now have the opportunity to cross borders and reach hundreds, if not thousands more than you did in the live space, all with it not costing you any more money. If you price it correctly and time it well, you could see the lower ticket price make significantly more revenue. When thinking about adding a price tag to your event, consider a few things. Content quality. Is the speaker content specific to you, or is it a reused keynote speaker that can be found for free on YouTube or likely have been seen word for word at another event? Consider the production quality of the stream for viewer engagement. Paying to see a lounge room or glitchy internet dropouts could find you with a few complaints. Also think about what other benefits the delegate will get. Will they have the opportunity to network, ask an expert, or possibly gain certification after the event? All of which are valuable and should be priced accordingly. Working with a platform that integrates ticket sales and the customer journey also adds to the professionalism of the process and makes it easier to charge a price. Next up, sponsorship and advertising. Now here is one that is actually easier and cheaper than in the live space. The opportunities for sponsor branding are endless. Whether it is working with a platform like this one, where banner advertising is possible, and gives sponsors constant visibility. Or working with a customized back layer with picture embedded. Again, great visibility. Additionally, adding to the sponsor opportunity is actually the event registration correspondence. The additional option of adding in advertorial or sponsor ads and videos in between content is also possible and can have great reach and great engagement. Additional advertising and sponsorship can also be added to an on-demand platform where attendees can revisit the content that will also have embedded advertorial or click-through banners on the site. Platforms like this and others out there have these features included to generate more sponsorship value. The next tip is content redeployment. Now that you have this amazing content that you've worked so hard to curate and provide value, this content can be edited and redeployed on a learning platform for pay-as-you-go use as a course or special interest area learning. You can add the additional option to have connection with the original speaker, to provide feedback, and also get answers to questions over time. Additionally, using this content in social media as a sign up to receive offer or promotional reasons also returns non-monetary ROI. Next up is pay to play setup. If you have the audience reach, you're in a great position to offer pay to play solutions to brands and speakers by offering them a spot at your event in return for financial investment. Be sure to set out the rules in advance though, to make sure that you don't allow anything too salesy and that you're still bringing value to your audience. The next monetization technique is to include something physical and tangible in the ticket price. Sending an item to the attendee does many things. It including improving attendee turn up and retention rate. It also makes people feel more connected, like they're having a similar experience to the live event, and also provides the additional sponsorship or branding opportunity. You can do this yourself or work with a company like Virtual Eventbox. This was solely created for this reason, and for costs starting at $60 and up, their premium offering is managed all for you. Giving value like this can see larger ticket prices seem worth it. And if you offer sponsors and branding product placement, this could be a very cost-effective or even free solution. Adding on the additional interaction with the product, such as a wine tasting, can also add an element of fun and engagement akin to the live world. So these were our top tips from our team here at AV 24/7. If you'd like to discuss them further, please reach out to me or one of the team, and we're more than happy to provide our additional learnings. Now, I'm really excited to be introducing you to our very special guest, Lisa Andrews. Lisa has a financial, data, engineering background and is working on the question how to give everyone a fair start in life and maximize human potential at each stage throughout life. She has dedicated her life to having a positive impact on this world, currently through her three main channels. 1, IA Impact, removing friction of financial, human and community capital. 2, Singularity Australia, educating, empowering and inspiring leaders to use exponential technology to solve the world's greatest challenges. And 3, Ignite Alliance, helping aspirational businesses grow. Lisa strongly believes that we live in a time where there isn't a problem that can't be solved with technology. Apart from being incredibly inspiring, Lisa is also an incredible business leader. Her work in running events both online and in life here in Australia and around the world has afforded her some incredible learnings around monetization of virtual events. Welcome so much, Lisa. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
I have to say, it's so great. You guys are leading the way in events and virtual events, and I love the team's tips.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
I have
Lisa.
to share with you.
Yeah.
I have to share with you, I'm actually at my nan's house. So virtual events now are so great, and it's making us a little bit more human. So welcome to the garden, and thanks for having me online.
I love that. And it also, we don't need to cross borders. This webinar might not have been possible if we needed you here in this space. And now you get to share that amazing experience at your nan's place, but also be here sharing your learnings with us and our audience. So thank you.
Definitely.
So talk me through, what's your experience online? What was your strategy before, and how's it adapted?
Great question. So I'm actually a CFO by trade. So I don't typically lead with that because you say accounting and people just shut off. So I apologize in advance for going with that. But I'm very financially focused. And I think with online events, this financially focused growth model I've been working on since 2012. I first started taking really successful offline businesses online, and we did it as joint ventures back then. If someone had a great offline business, we'd take them online, and we do different strategies for events and selling people into some of the programs that we were.
Now it's really exciting that that Lisa's here. Sorry, Lisa, we lost you for a moment there. Got you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You were just mentioning about having online and the quality of events, so I really apologize. I've actually got a home studio set up, which is really fantastic with these online events. So it's just talking about the funnel. And so the digital event space, we were creating online businesses for people. This was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we really started getting serious about it. And I think some of the leaders in the space were Tony Robbins, Dr. Oz. I remember it was always like a pitch from stage, and then they'd sell you into something at the end of events, which was that monetization model that people now can really tell if you're going to be sold to. And so there's been this huge shift. And I think it's coming back to purpose and community. And if you actually go way back and you think about the history of why we actually gathered, because I think that's what events are really about. And we used to gather in people that were local and near to us. And it was your family, it was extended friends and family, and it was all for a common purpose. And if we can go back to roots of that and go, okay, well now, if we forget a lot of the last sort of 5 years of how things have been, how do we get back to community and purpose? And this is where that cross borders come in. And so how do we actually create those new events that have a really specific purpose? So over the last 8 years, I've been doing a lot of events. And now with Singularity U Australia, we used to do one big summit. And now we're doing all virtual. I think we had about 35,000 views on Facebook last month because we had to change so quickly.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because you talk about how you had that large summit once a year. I'm wondering now, I guess the answer's there already, but changing this model, being forced to change that model, you're getting these additional touch points. I guess it could turn out to actually be more of a successful strategy than the previous one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a really challenging few months needing to shift, and the whole industry's been shaken up. And we're starting to plan now our summit for next year. And as we do it, we're looking at how do you actually create those in-person events, but then include people online as well. And so that you've got the contingency plan. So even if you can't meet in person, you can do it online. But we're looking at regional impact as well. So how do you get people from lots of regional areas and then be able to include those people in the events as well around a common purpose?
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing, and something that we've never really kind of encapsulated in our event strategy previously, because we're all so physical and we have, events are events and they're live. But we've been excluding a lot of people, and I think that's an interesting thing that's been changed now. That exclusion due to reasons of not being able to travel, financial reasons, we're actually being able to capture a lot more of the market as an industry and as brands, and I think that's not just good for the brand, but it's really good for the attendee and people that want to engage with you where they haven't had that opportunity before.
Yeah, I know there's so many people that haven't been able to travel for events, and now they've got the content and the people and the events coming straight to their living room. It's opened a huge market up.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been working in the monetization of online events and these sorts of strategies well before COVID. Obviously, COVID adds a little bit of extra complexity to it, forcing the hand. But I'm wondering if you have any sort of thoughts around the challenges faced with monetizing.
Yes, definitely. I think my biggest challenge that I have is that there's a lot of content for free now. And so people are a lot less likely to pay for content. So that's absolutely challenge number one. So how do you then reshift your strategy not to be content focused and get back to that purpose of, what do we, is it we're coming together for networking and people first? Or is it we're achieving an objective for a sponsor? So, for example, if a sponsor is actually coming to you for a purpose, if you're running an event, what is it that they actually want? And if you think about the funnel for events, typically you want to go top of funnel marketing, you want to get a huge audience. And then you want to convert some of those audience into some sort of paid customer base, and then you want to convert them into clients for your business. And we used to do this in a huge way where we'd get 1,000 people into an event, and then we'd convert 10% of those into a $100 product, and we convert then 10% of those into we used to go $97, $3,997, so $4,000. And then at the $4,000 weekend event, we'd convert them into a $12,000 program. And at the $12,000 program, it was an annual program that then they could upgrade to a $50,000 program. And so if you actually think about the event in its core essence of, are you going for the mass amount of people, or are you delivering that $3,000 event, or are you delivering an ongoing program? And you kind of need to go wide and get a lot of people to start the funnel. Whereas if you've already got a business, then it's more strategic objective. Is it keeping your clients engaged? Is it delivering on something that you can really get a great value for them? So they're more action, networking and action focused events.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And it actually kind of made me have a thought around it, you know, talking about the process that you've worked with before. And an area that I think that's been really good at monetization is people that have online training programs when they write a book and they you know, sell out you know, $30 book or a $15 Audible, and then at the end it's like, oh, you know, go online to check out this worksheet, or you know, if you want to do more, you want to do this training, and then they're sort of up and up and up and up. So it's a really interesting strategy that's obviously worked in so many different areas.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of authors. I've got a number of authors as clients in my CFO business, and some of them, and using that model, they'll do a free online webinar, which then will probably give away their book.
Yeah.
And then they'll do a $3,000 weekend. So I've got a client who actually teaches people how to write books. And so they'll do do you want to write a book? Which, interesting topic. You can go out on Facebook for that for free, and you can get people into, you know, an hour session. You'll get a lot of people in, and then they'll sell into a 3-day event. Oh, we'll help you write your book. That's a $4,000 event.
Yeah.
And then, you couldn't do it in a weekend. Actually, we'll do it over 12 months. And here's our $12,000 program, and we'll hold your hand and accountability. And so you've actually created a full funnel around just that one thing, everything from online, but every sort of event, then they're selling into something else, which is where you can tell when people are selling to you. But if they're actually offering so much value that, you know, people want to write a book, we'll give you an outcome at the end.
Yeah.
Then it's a lot easier to monetize.
Yeah, I think
I think we're touching on that with the type of content and the quality of content.
I feel like it's funny. It's a funny thing because in the live space, if someone invited me to an event or you know, advertised to me an event that had really high level speakers and it was really cheap or free, I'd be like, I'm not going there. There's no, you know, because I'm like, someone's going to sell at me the whole time. Whereas this is almost flipping it on the head. You know, we all want something for free first before we pay for something. So it's really interesting how quickly we flipped into that mindset.
And you just have to give so much value.
Yeah.
And it's not about selling anymore. It's value, value, value. And then people are just naturally attracted to you. You don't actually need to sell anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's where I think it's changed to being about people and network.
Yeah.
So it's actually a connection rather than content experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And I think that's where sometimes people can miss the mark on that as well. So it's a really, really good point. What are your 3 top tips that have given you the greatest results? I mean, we've probably spoken about a few, or if not more, all of those. But what if you were to bring them down to the top 3? What would they be?
My first one is action. So it's about doing events. So similar to the book analogy that I gave, it's like you go for a 3-day event and you're actually doing something and you come away with something.
Yeah.
So I think that's it needs to be actionable, where you're actually getting something in return for your time. You've got to think about the audience's time that you're actually with. You need them to walk away with something.
Yeah.
So definitely doing meetings. And then strategic objectives. What do people want and what do they need? So the book one's fantastic. Is there something else? Is it that your sponsor is I think of some of the funding that we've had from the government and our sponsorships from government organisations, they've always had a strategic objective. And one of them was that they want to be better known internationally. And so we've got quite a great audience. And so by being able to share with people about innovation and empower people in Australia and talk about that, we're very innovative by nature and you should be able to use technology, or how could you use technology to be able to create a business and employ people and really highlight that on a global stage. And so by us just going out there and doing what we love doing, the sponsorship then and having their branding has been great. So knowing what the strategic objective is and saying, oh, actually, we could help you with that. There's number two.
That's great.
And then the third one is collaborations. So we have different organizations in our ecosystem that we're having joint events, which is super cool. We wouldn't have thought of doing before, but we're actually opening up new markets and new ideas to cross-pollinate our ecosystems.
I love that. I feel like collaboration is like the new buzzword of 2020, past pivot and, and COVID. So, but yeah, collaboration, we're seeing so many collaborations within the industry. And it's great to see that you're doing that as well. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good one. I think there's so many things that we don't consider when we're surrounded in our standard surroundings. And it's really, really interesting to open our doors to even competitors to work to build a better product.
Definitely, and it gives us an opportunity to think bigger as well. And so previously, when we were doing these events, we were going out to mass markets and then selling into $97 products to a $3,000 one to a $12,000 one. And we're looking now at there's so much stimulus available in the Australian economy. And I know this is international. I think it's everywhere that every single person has been affected in some way by COVID. And so the world is actually shifting. And if you can think about your skills and strength and how that can align with someone else's strategic objective and asking for more. So I think it's that scarcity mindset that leads us into fear, and then we stop asking. And so we go, oh, we'll just sell some small things. Whereas the abundance mindset, on the other hand, is really hard when you've had a lot of change in your world to then go into abundance and go, oh, actually, there's $1 million grant for this random thing. There's actually billions of dollars of stimulus at the moment if you look across the world. And,
Wow.
Are there large organizations that you could actually help them with by creating great online content and being out, like you say, creating quality content at different levels and sharing that you can almost think bigger and be a part of that and lead in some of these bigger initiatives.
Yeah.
So I think financially thinking about which way you come at the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that I hadn't really considered much either. I think that, in this world, this disrupted space and so many organisations and businesses being affected, businesses that would never have thought about grants before or never thought about financial opportunities that are out there in the market because they never had to. But now there's this, there is this net that is much wider than we all thought it was, and thinking about those sorts of strategies is really a great way to even create work for yourself, not just promote the work that is just there that you would usually do. That's really cool.
I think if we think about what the world needs, there's a lot of people without jobs at the moment. So if we can create initiatives and create programs around it and events around it to be able to solve some of the initiatives. So action events. Think about running a 3-day event that could be to solve a certain problem and how many people you could get involved, but then is there funding out there for it? And so stimulus, if you can create jobs, but then also the landscape is changing from the eligible base grants where, you apply for smaller grants on your tax return or for export grants to now there's pockets of money where it's like, oh, we need to, as Australian government in Australia, we need to create another 6 million jobs. And so they've put a lot of money into infrastructure at the moment, but what about other jobs and skills and education, and what can we do events around that are going to be bigger? And there might be a tender out there that we just don't know exists.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone that's watching today, the reason why Lisa knows so much about this because her company Ignite Alliance is actually specialist in this area as well. So if you want to learn more or get in touch with her to find out whether there might be some grants or opportunities out there for you, feel free to touch base with her as well. Now, the next question we had is, what do you wish you knew 6 months ago in relation to events?
6 months ago. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have booked a large event for September, or actually March was one. I think 6 months ago, we were still really focused on content and, getting great speakers and the speaking industry. It was, $10,000 or $15,000 US for a keynote, and we'd spend a lot of money on these different events that I've realized now it's people first, and then it's action second and content third. And so if you think about people, how you can solve problems, how you can help people with their challenges that they're having, then we'll be all adding a lot more value.
Yeah, I really love that, how you're talking about people first. And I think that we've, previously when we talked about the virtual world, it was, hey, here's a camera pointing at a stage to show you what you missed out on. And it was more so, it was like, we'll do this because if they can't come, then they get access to it. Now this is the main stage. So putting the person first and making them feel engaged and important and part of the process is a really big thing. And certainly to talk about monetization and engagement, making sure that you're thinking about how you want the person on the other side of the screen to feel is really important. So I guess it might not be that different, but you've been working across the years in this side and in this strategy. But how do you think that your event and online strategy will differ in the coming years, or what's here to stay? What's going to go away once we can meet again? How do you think this is going to be affected long term?
Long term, people are going to be less willing to pay to attend events that are just content based. And so I think, long term, it's definitely shifting to back to, and if I go back to the very beginning on community and why we used to gather, it was local and it was usually for a specific purpose. We have the opportunity now to be internationally connected to community. And so what are our interests? How do we actually find a peer group or people that we're having events with that are like-minded or trying to solve the same challenge? And neural diversity to get different ideas from people all over the world to solve the world's problems. I think it's more prevalent now when we've got a lot more information. We can see what's happening in the entire world, and we've all got different experience to share with everybody. And so being more internationally engaging and people focused first on down to this level is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. I was just reflecting for a moment around the idea of how you were talking about why people used to gather. And I'm sure so many times in my past I've attended an event that I was absolutely not even interested in the content at all. Like not even remotely interested in the content, but possibly even be sitting in the audience doing work, waiting for the break so I can go network and meet people and have a lunch with somebody or have an opportunity to sort of broaden my network. And that was really one of the key components. So I think you're really on the money when you're talking about trying to monetize just content based isn't necessarily going to work, because monetizing based on just the content before didn't work either. So I'm not sure. I think sometimes we're trying to shift it over, but we're forgetting about those elements, that real passion and the excitement and the live event feeling. How do we bring that to that virtual space, not just that content? And I guess connection and community is one of those reasons and one of those ways to do that.
Definitely. And when we're creating online events as well, I experienced a really great one on the weekend where we had 4-minute talks, but there were 80 of us on this online event. And then we broke out into groups of 3 or 4 to actually really, truly connect. Great. So the breakout rooms were really specifically designed for us to meet each other and collaborate. which was really cool.
That's awesome. And I guess you kind of came away from that feeling inspired and excited and hopeful for the online world and being able to have those international connections and those non-border restricted connections and those learning experiences.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've absolutely learnt so much already just talking to you this afternoon. Now, you are a wealth of knowledge in this area. You've been working in this space for a really long time, and super grateful for your time today. If it's okay with you, might leave your details, send your details out to who was registered for the event today. And if they want to reach out to you and chat to you further, are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. And Lisa's a great keynote speaker as well, everybody. So I can send you her details as part of our wrap-up email too. But thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate your time, and I look forward to catching up with you in person soon.
Likewise. Thank you for leading the way in this space.
Thanks so much, Lisa.